Today we have a very special guest in the building, one of Canada's biggest stars, an Ottawa native, Dax. How you doing, man?
Man, it's your boy Dax. I'm feeling super amazing, man. And actually, Newfoundland. I was born in St. John's, Newfoundland, but grew up in Ottawa. But I'm trying to give that, that respect to my people as Newfies.
No, for sure. So let's talk about the tour.
Yes,
You're doing a Canadian tour. So you have the Halifax show coming up. So how do you feel about that one going back? And
I'm super excited for that one, man. Especially, all the tickets have been going really fast. Pretty much driving across Canada. So Halifax is the last one, so it's going to be a movie.
How's the tour been overall so far, being in Canada with the, being back into the groove of things, everything's moving again?
Overall, it's been crazy. I think my first Canadian tour I did was 3 years ago, I think, before the pandemic. And that was only my second tour ever. And the difference between the people that are showing up versus now is humbling. So it's been great.
No, it's crazy too for you because you started on tour with Tech N9ne as well, right? So you were able to get the groove of things and really learn the ins and outs of the industry. And now, it's a big thing. So congratulations on that solo tour as well.
Thank you. Yeah, that was the Tech N9ne tour was my first ever tour. Mm-hmm. Thrown on the stage, and I just remember it was like a crash course, but I learned I would say that one tour probably gave me 10 years of experience. Mm-hmm. Just that one tour. So I think I've been able to transition from that to my own seamlessly.
What was something you learned about going on tours that you didn't know before that's something key in your everyday routine now?
What I learned is that tours fit perfectly for my type of personality. I'm someone who's very I do the same things every day. And I think if you can create structure on tour and create a routine that you don't veer from, you can do it very successfully for a long period of time, like Tech N9ne. They have rules on tour, all these different guidelines and rules and regulations, so it's so strict, and that fits my personality perfectly, especially playing basketball for so long. So I just learned that I could do that.
No, for sure. So let's jump into your upbringing. So you're from Orleans, Ottawa, that you grew up in Halifax, right? So how did that upbringing have an impact on your musical influence?
So, St. John's, Newfoundland.
Yes, sir.
Born St. John's, Newfoundland, then left there when I think I was about 1 year old. Grew up in Ottawa, started St. Laurent area, Brittany Drive, apartment 201, shout out to that. And then, we moved to Orleans when I was fourth grade, third grade.
So let's talk about basketball, man, because, you could have went pro. You played crazy college, you were leading a team. So you were MVP at Christian Academy in your senior year.
Yes, sir.
You were playing basketball at Casper College, University of Montana. You transferred to Newman University.
Yeah.
You led Heartland Conference with a scoring title. So how did that kind of talk about that being a basketball star and then how it was able to create a structure of having a mindset and, being driven and all that?
I think what basketball and just sports in general does, it creates a mindset of work equals reward, discipline, working with others. Basketball, I wasn't always the best player. I've been the worst player on a team. I've been the best player on a team. I've gotten no minutes. I've gotten all the minutes. So it teaches you to wait for your time. But I also knew with basketball that I was never going to be, one of the best. As soon as I started, I knew I wasn't genetically predisposed to be the greatest basketball player of all time. I hit 13, I'm okay, my growth spurt's coming. Am I gonna hit 6'4"? Am I gonna hit 6'5"? Dang, I stopped at 6'2". And I was like, shit. So there was just certain things I knew I wasn't gonna be able to do. You know what I mean? But I think when I wrote my first poem, I was like, you know what? I think I can create a huge impact with this. And I think I have a couple natural gifts in terms of speaking, intellectually and things I can think and create. So I just felt like that was my actual gift when I wrote my first poem. So it was easy for me to be like, okay, this is something that I can do, rather than basketball was I have to work extremely hard, to battle with this freak athlete, 6'8" dude whose both parents played in the league, so yeah.
So you have a really interesting story as well, because you started off doing freestyle poetry, motivational speaking, and then after that you went into music. So talk about how those experiences kind of crafted your musical journey And because your music is very deep and personal, and it tells a story. And I think all that has a huge impact that other artists don't have, because you were able to create that like kind of that whole universe around that helped you go forward with that. So talk about the freestyle poetry, motivational speaking, and what it came to in your artistry today.
I would say, if I'm thinking on it off the top of my head, I would say the first thing I remember when I was doing the overnight janitor job, I used to film my little spoken word poems in front of this picture, but I only had a certain amount of time on break. So I had to make sure I had everything memorized so I could get it in one take and be out so my boss wouldn't see me in all these different things.
Yeah.
And not only that, when I started filming like the poetry one take videos, I didn't have money to pay for music videos. So I used to just tell my guy Thad Swift, hey, just pull up and I'm gonna do it in one take. Just hold the camera and I'm gonna just get it done, and what can you charge me for that? So I think those created skills that allowed me to like think quicker. And also poetry is always about something. I think my music is always about something. Rarely do I just create random, unless I'm like maybe like doing a remix or something, just random thoughts.
Yeah.
So I think poetry allowed me to like critically think and just make topic-based music.
Yeah.
I would say that too.
So like, you're just talking about the janitor job. How was that with the mindset, when you're thinking, because you're saying with basketball, you knew that you weren't going to always be the biggest star.
Right.
So before you became an artist, did you tell yourself, I'm going to be the biggest artist, or is it more something that you learned to, get more confidence in over time?
I would say when I wrote my first poem, it was like, this is something I'm doing for the world. When I was playing basketball, I was like, okay, I'm playing basketball, but this isn't really helping anybody. No one's like, unless you're like, the Kobe's who I was inspired by, the Michael Jordan, who they're inspiring people at a high level. I didn't feel like I was in service to people. But when I wrote that poem and I saw how people like reacted to it and were being motivated by it, I was like, okay, well, this is a service I'm providing. So I think sometimes people get purpose confused, because when they're thinking purpose, they're thinking like, okay, well, what is my purpose? How can I be the biggest star? Rather than purpose as how are you serving other people?
Yeah.
So, I think in service, I'm not gonna lie, I forgot the question. But what was the question again?
That was the connecting with the knowing that you were making music. When you're saying with basketball, you didn't think you were going to be the biggest star. But with music, did you think that you're going to be like the biggest star growing up, or you learned it over time?
Yeah, I would say I just felt like I was helping people. And I think when you're helping people and creating a service, I felt no shame trying to promote my work because I knew it was doing good for society. So I think in me not having any shame to promote my work, I kept continuously coming out with different ideas to get the poetry and music to more people.
No, that's cool. So, your music is very insightful. You're just saying about that. You talk about struggle, jumping hurdles, applying pressure, self-worth. Everything is a deep message, So do you have any limitations to what you can share in your music, or is it more so, like just get in the booth and this is an open book kind of thing?
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely some things in my life I'm never gonna share.
Of course.
I don't think society needs to know every single thing about you. There's even just things, I've been through that I just like suppress and forget about. And then obviously, there's a whole realm of stuff I don't touch because I'm just not from that walk of life. I think I stick to my upbringing, my values. So yeah, there's a bunch of stuff that I don't and won't speak on, not even just about my life, just about other things. Yeah. No,
for sure. So, you have a lot of people also remixing because you do some crazy TikTok videos, you do some crazy content. And how does that feel, seeing a lot of people, react to that and trying to make like a duet video to your song?
It's dope, man. I think it speaks to the impact of the music. It's humbling. Yeah, I think like when you make really great songs that make people think, people want to be a part of it. And I think everyone's got a story to share, and there's so many talented people in the world that never get the chance to share their story. So that's why I love doing the open verse challenges. And I'm an artist who likes to share a lot of people's shit. So I think people feel like there's a chance they can be seen, and you never know what opportunities get created out of those. So yeah, it's dope. I think shout out to TikTok,
No, for real. So that even goes into like, you know, you're not bound by one genre. You're able to do so many things as a creative. You did a song with the remix with Ellie King. You know, you performed at the Country Music Awards. You know, not many people can say they're able to go to this genre and reach the highest point of another genre as well.
Right.
How was that performing at that event, and you know, the whole experience being there?
Super nerve-wracking, I'm not gonna lie. It was my first time performing live on TV. Not only that, I was singing. You know what I mean? If I was up there rapping, it'd be one thing. You know, I'd just be like, ah. But the fact that I was like singing, you know, I had to hear my tone and different things. I can definitely say I was nervous.
Yeah.
And like, I don't feel that often on stage, but I think it was good. It was a good experience for me. I'm excited to do more of it. In terms of the genre stuff, I've never really like looked at I call my genre impact. You know, it's more about the words and however it sounds. I feel like in music, sounding good's a prerequisite. You know, if if you don't sound good, then you know.
No. Yeah.
Right? It's like not being able to dunk. You know,
Yeah.
you gotta be able to dunk. You know what I mean? I'll dunk on you if you didn't watch yourselves, people. I'm a freak athlete. And I'm joking. But yeah, it feels good to be able to just cross over. Everyone was super welcoming.
No, that's a big thing too, because then you're feeling obviously that you can be in the space, right? So that's a big thing. So you call your friends, your fans, your family, and you have a big thing about that, right? Because you don't want people to just be stuck on one side. Talk about how you are so connected with your fans, and you're literally responding to people all the time, because not a lot of people put that effort in. You know?
Yeah, I've never liked the word fan.
Yeah.
You know, I can't say I've ever been a fan of somebody. I don't think there's anything wrong with the word. It's just like me personally. You know, so I like to call them family. You know, because like I said, I didn't want to be a music artist growing up.
Yeah.
You know, I had no, you know, need to like, I didn't make an Instagram until I was a freshman in college. You know what I mean? It was just basketball, and I was on the whole Kobe work ethic, the 6-hour workout, you know, work in the dark, and it's gonna shine in the light. Like I was on that whole thing, you know what I mean, for 10 plus years. So, yeah, I just see people as family. I see everyone as just like me. I'm just now making words that people can relate to, you know, and I want them to see me just as a normal person who's like them. And I think you have to create that environment. You know, people treat you how you teach them to treat you.
Absolutely.
You know, so yeah, it's big for me. Yeah.
So you have a very impactful song that's doing insane numbers. You called it Dear Alcohol.
Yes,
you
sir.
know, you had a really cool video. Saw as well on the side of making the video, how it was done versus how it was, you know, started and all that. Talk about how that was, because that's a very personal one, right? And you had a lot of people also reach out to you. Right. I saw in the comments of YouTube saying how they were battling with issues and how that helped them kind of reach a point where they could live with it, you know? So it's like, talk about that on your side, and then also people reaching out to you about the song's impact.
Yeah, so Dear Alcohol started as a poem when I first started writing poetry back in Wichita, Kansas. I used to take these things called mental health walks. I would walk to the liquor store and the mall, East Town Square, I think, in Wichita, Kansas, and I would just buy some cheap alcohol. Then I would go to my room before I'd go out and party, and I would just write poetry. So one day I have this little bottle, basically, you know, cleaner. Take a couple sips, and I just say, Dear Alcohol. And I start writing this Dear Alcohol poem. It turns into a whole poem. And I have a section of poems that I wrote back then, like Dear God was one, Dear Alcohol was one that I just hope are eventually going to turn into songs. And whenever I find one of these songs, they end up being my biggest songs. Like Dear God was a poem first. Then one day I wrote the song, and I was like, oh, I finally found the song to the poem. One of my biggest songs. And I didn't think Dear Alcohol was gonna come as a song, because I was like, how am I going to
put this into
it? You know what I mean? So then Lex played the beat, and I was just like, I can't, oh no, that's a different song. Ooh. I got wasted because I, boom. Wrote the whole thing, and I was like, yo, this is Dear Alcohol. So as soon as I finished writing the song and I realized it was the song to the poem I had written almost 5 years ago, I just knew it was going to be a whole thing. And I also knew it was the sign from God for me to stop drinking, because at that point I had been drinking every day. So yeah, it was a 10-year journey. I started drinking when I was 17. I was never a blackout drinker or anything like that. I wouldn't say I was like an alcoholic, but it was just something I was doing every day, coupled with the lifestyle of music. It's everywhere, every show, every studio.
Everywhere you go, yeah, you can't avoid it. Yeah.
That one, the first year I started touring, I did 100 shows, the Tech N9ne tour, my own American, my own Canadian, 100 shows, drinking before every show. Then I came back, the pandemic hit, drinking the whole pandemic. I looked up and I was like, yo, when was the last time I hadn't drank in 2 days in a row? I didn't know. Wrote Dear Alcohol, boom.
No, that's a big thing, and that's very hard even for the self to be able to notice that too, right? Because most people just overlook that they have something going on, and then,
Right. And I had people tell me, my mom told me at one point, she was like, she calls it the dark drink. Daddy, stop drinking this dark drink. She's Nigerian. So it had come to my attention. I was somewhat aware of it, and I'd been telling myself, like, man, you just got to chill on this shit. So once I put out that song, the pressure of just everybody, people ask, how did I stop drinking at that point? I said, well, first thing I did, I got rid of all the alcohol around me in situations that involved it. I wasn't touring at that point, so I wasn't going to be put in front of me. And then just the weight and pressure from that song.
No, that's very respectable, and you've helped a lot of people as well with that song, so having your music have that impact on other people must have a really heavy, thing on your heart as well. So you were saying that when you wrote old poems and then you go back in time to see them again, how does that, like when you reconnect with that one you wrote before, how are you able to say, yes, this is okay to put it into a new song, or let me shelve this for maybe something later?
So the words in the poems are completely different than the songs.
Yeah, sorry, the songs, yeah.
Yeah, so it's like, I always thought the Dear Alcohol song was going to be more intricate. Like, I didn't think it was going to be something I sang. But once I made the song, I was like, you know what, this might reach more people because the melody might stick.
Yeah.
Rather than just like it being rapped words. I think it's just something that is just like the path I'm walking on. I feel like I'm walking on a path and it's going somewhere, and all I have to do is not veer off of it.
Yeah.
So I would just say maybe divine, it just felt right. I almost called the song I Got Wasted.
Yeah.
But then I was like, you know what?
Has a heavier impact.
Yeah, Dear Alcohol.
Yeah.
And the Dear Alcohol poem, the Dear Alcohol poem is better than the song. I need to,
put that out as like a single deluxe kind of thing?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. So you know what was interesting too? You said before that you weren't able to go from paying for the videos and stuff like that, and then in one of your interviews you said you also wanted to make so many videos that you didn't have money left over for anything else.
Right.
So how does that feel, because once you're able to reach that point too, that's kind of like a self-victory in itself.
Right, yeah, that's my goal. I think my umbrella goal when I started was to put things into the world that were going to last forever. And I think like visuals are super important for that. So like that's my goal. I said my goal is to try and go broke, filming music videos. I got the year before, I only put out like 3 videos this year because everything was doing so well, so I was trying to like promote what was doing well. But the year before that I put out like 23 music videos, and there was like 10 that I filmed that I didn't put out. So by the end of the year, I mean, these are tax write-offs, but by the end of the year, I'm just like depleted.
Yeah.
But I like that feeling.
Of course.
I like that. I like every time I'll come up with an idea or something, they'll send me the treatment and like it's gonna cost this, and I'll just be like, damn. And then everyone will be like, hey man, I don't think you should maybe wait on this one. I'll be like, nah, once I see it, I gotta do it.
It's the time now, right now.
Yeah. So.
No, that's a huge thing. And that, a lot of people dream they could have that. So that it's a huge push. So with the visuals, do you have a creative direction when you go with them, or is it more so you go based on the?
I used to sit down and literally write out like everything I wanted to happen in the video from second to second to second to second to second to second. I think now that I've been, I would honestly, I might have put out more music videos than any artist ever, like in reality, So I'm not gonna say I'm getting tired of it, but nowadays I'll just sort of be like, oh, like for example, the Dear Depression music video, I was just like, yo, I'm thinking Truman Show, and I want this to happen here, this to happen there. And then my boy Logan Mice, amazing, one of the greatest of all time directors, will just like use his visionary, God-given tactics along with extremely hard work to put together something dope and, come out with these masterpieces. Dear Alcohol, I was just like, oh man, I want it to be like, boom, 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 and then he.
Super creative as well, because there's so much that goes into it, and these aren't like little production. You literally have like the camera going over the top, going on the side to get a one angle. There's with the
Right.
lighting that's like crazy visuals and, you know, production costs.
Right.
There's a lot that goes into it.
Yeah, man.
So when people listen to Dax, what do you want them to experience?
I've always wondered what it would be like to hear my music as like another person, like hearing Dear God for the first time. What that'd be like. What do I want them to experience? I want them to go read the words. I think that's something that's different about my music. You can almost read it like a book, you know? They're like poems. I'm starting to do more hooks obviously now, but what I want them to experience? Good feelings. Purge of emotion. You know, or energy, you know, if you're working out, I want you to feel that motivation. And I just want you to feel like you're listening to something important, you know? Yeah.
No, those are, because, you know, it's a tough question, really, because it's like,
really
when you think about it, it's like you have to think of like what the, you know, it's a lot. It's really crazy.
Right.
So if you were to go back in time and give yourself some advice that you know now, what would it be?
Some advice I would say, there's nothing wrong with taking out a loan.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
You have to invest in yourself for sure.
Yeah. You know,
Yeah.
you take out a little loan from the bank.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I did one of those this year. And I
Yeah.
was like, wow, I should have done this sooner.
Yeah.
You know, because I was able to film more videos than I wanted to.
Yeah.
Obviously, you got to pay it back.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if we start getting interest rates and, you know, we want to get into all that stuff, you know, there's a lot of benefits there. So, you know, if you're an artist and you truly believe in yourself, there's nothing wrong with, make sure you got good credit now.
Yeah.
You know, I personally don't have any credit cards just recently. Now I have a business, I have to have one, but before that, I didn't have money. But so I was able to take out a solid like loan. I took out a loan and made my productions a little bit, you know, bigger.
Yeah.
So that was some advice I'd give.
You know, that's the thing too, because nobody's going to invest in you until you invest in yourself first, right? And you have to believe in yourself to the point where others will believe in you.
Right.
So it's like, if you don't take that leap, nobody else will want to do it for you or help you reach that next level.
Right.
You know, straight up. So I have one question as well. What was the first song that you ever listened to that made you want to become an artist? Or the first artist that you listened to?
I actually met my guy at a place I was filming in LA like 2 years ago. The day I wrote the first poem, one of the greatest poems of all time, I was on SoundCloud and I was listening to this song by They.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know the words to it. It was like da 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 da, and I remember hearing that song, and I was on the way to play University of Arkansas Fort Smith, and I was like, yo man, let me like write a rap. I don't know why. This is literally what happened that day. And I wrote this rap, and it was trash.
Yeah.
I was like rapping about stuff that's completely not my life.
You're trying to get that like rapper lifestyle.
Yeah,
going.
I was rapping. I looked and I was like, God, I can't do this. Then I was like, let me write a spoken word poem.
Mm-hmm.
Then I wrote that poem. So I was listening to that song that day.
That's crazy.
Yeah. I was also listening to, I think, was that when that Bryson Tiller album? Don't.
Yeah. That's
I still listen to that album.
amazing. One of the best
Right.
debuts from a
Right. So I think that album, I was listening to that music around then too. I was also, I was playing basketball, so I was listening to a lot of pump up music. Fireman, Lil Wayne, Tupac.
classics. Yeah.
All I do is win. There's a lot of stuff, man. A lot of stuff. But yeah, I would say that Day song, that was the song I was listening to that day when I wrote my first poem.
They're underrated too, you know. They
Right.
get their shine, but they're also like one of those groups that's like, you know, really doing their thing.
Right. And I met him at a fish place.
Yeah?
And I told him to his face,
Yeah.
one of the guys. I said, hey, I was listening to you the day I wrote my first poem.
Yeah.
He was like,
Must have been an awesome moment.
Oh,
'cause-
no, but I was like, it was a couple years ago.
Yeah.
So I don't think he really knew what was going on.
Oh, you were.
But I just wanted to tell him.
Yeah.
You know? So, yeah. Dope.
That's pretty crazy. What was he like? Oh man, thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, he was super humble, super nice. Like, oh man, glad I could inspire, man. It was great.
So that's a cool moment too, because that's a moment where you knew you're gonna be an artist, and you knew this is your life. What was the moment that you said, "Wow, I finally made it in this industry, and this is gonna be my full-time career"?
When did I say this was gonna be my full-time career? So, after I was getting. That's a long story. I'm not gonna go deep into that because that's. But I had to find a new apartment. I was getting kicked out of the one I was in due to circumstances, some fuckery. And I had 2 weeks. I had 13 days to find a new apartment. I was pretty much broke. And this was like, if I don't get this right, I'm gonna have to like go back to working a job. And I wrote the song "She Cheated Again." And then I spent 2 weeks just like really perfecting it and just getting it ready. And then when it dropped, I was like, yeah, I think this is gonna be like my full-time job. Because it was like just doing amazingly well. And then I got a check for it and I was like, what the fuck?
You're like, I didn't know this was even possible.
Right, I was like, oh my God, I can, pay like rent easily now. So I was like, so yeah, that was when I made that song. I was like,
And
wow.
then do you ever go back on that moment when you're like having like doubts or anything like that, that you're like, this is the hunger that I had, and then I can like just rejuvenate my energy kind of thing?
I wouldn't say I ever have doubts.
No, that's, yeah. No, that's-
Yeah, I was, ever go back.
not even like doubts, but everybody has their good days, off days,
Right.
Yeah.
I think I've always seen like good days. It's like basketball, right? I had a
Yeah.
dream. I'm not big on dreams, by the way. Dreams are a lot of subconscious, so it's like, especially once you gotta get to the point where people start telling you they dream about you, but you can't dream about them because you've never seen them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You start seeing dreams differently. But anyways, I had a dream one time. Michael Jordan taught me how to score the basketball. He said, all you got to do in life if you want to score the basketball at a high level, when you're open, shoot. If you miss, shoot again. And if they cut you off, change directions. So I never see a bad day. I just see a bad day as a missed shot.
Yeah.
I'm just going to shoot again.
Yeah, no, for sure.
So.
No, that's a big thing too, because some people take like a loss in a situation as like, this is the end of the road, but you really need those stepping stones to be able to learn and grow and be able to be a stronger person and do even better at your craft, right?
Right.
So that's I like that a lot, actually. That's good.
Right. The guys who missed the most shots in the NBA are Kobe and MJ.
Yeah, man. And look where they are.
Missed the most.
Rest in peace, Kobe.
Right.
Yeah.
Legend.
Yeah.
So.
So one final question. What's next for Dax?
Just impacting more people. That's it, man. I think like if I just keep focusing on the service to the people, and I think with that everything grows. So whatever comes with that, more songs, more music videos, more performances.
You're gonna start acting?
You know what? I don't have a passion for it. I also hate memorizing.
Yeah.
I hate memorizing. So I'm passionate acting in my own stuff right now. I mean, if someone offered me something
Then it's a
that was
different
like
story.
crazy, and I was like, okay, well, but I just don't. I hate to do. I would have to practice, Like I would have to actually because I can't be mediocre.
No, for sure.
And I act in my music videos, but acting like actual acting is totally different. Like,
Different completely,
It's-
right?
it's-
Because one is literally your story that you're, portraying, and then
Right.
the other one's a character that you have to act as.
Right. Like the respect I have for actors is crazy. I don't know how these people do it sober. I'm gonna be completely honest.
Yeah.
How you sit on a set for like 5-6 months,
All those
run
takes.
it back, those takes,
Yeah.
memorize, in just that frame of mind.
So
respect,
fast paced too, It's
Right.
like everywhere, this and there, and then
Like Tom Cruise, and he does his own stunts.
at 60 years old or something like that. Still.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Which is actually, I found that out the other day, and I was like, that's insane.
That's insane. I'm like done. Like I hate my music videos last like 12 hours, and I'm done. I'm just like I hate it. Like so. Yeah, respect.
Shout out Tom Cruise.
Shout out to Tom Cruise. Shout out to Will Smith. Shout out to Arnold Schwarzenegger. God dang. all the stuff he did. Like,
no, he's crazy too, man. Literally went from acting to, you know, working in government in California, right?
Yeah.
Governor? Insane. So like that just shows you like possibilities, even as a side note. Like you're not just tied down to one thing that you're doing. You could do whatever you want in life. So that's it. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, man, I don't want to take too much of your time. I really do appreciate it. And thank you for doing this as always. And, you know, keep killing it, keep inspiring. And, you know, a lot of people look up to you. So you're a big inspiration in this world. So
appreciate
respect
you, man.
to you.
My people. Canada.
Yes, sir.